Okay. So yeah, before we get into the case study, I just want to have a quick check about the understanding, so that way it is easier for me to discuss on the case study, right? So yeah, so in exam you might also get such questions like this. So we have a customer who is trying to make some changes on their identity and access management solution. So they have asked the solution architect to provide some assistance on some of the recommendation. Okay, so they have given some specific requirement that the CTO want to provide device access to some company application, and then he want to have some kind of level of device access, and he also want there should be some restriction to only approved devices. That is the expectation from the CTO, and the company also want to do some restructuring, reorganization, and that is going to add some new roles and stuff. So they want to have uh, right level of access for the team based on their job and their role, and they also want to provide external developer accounts to access some of the application, and also they want to provide access to some of the company data files, and that is something they have got very minimal number of 5 developers that they want to give access. Okay, it's not a big set of partner team. Okay, the scale is very less, and they also want to validate the audit activities, who is signing in and from where they are signing in. They want to identify the risks on the login areas. Okay, now how can Tailwind traders permit employees at their retail store to access company application from approved tablet device only? Which solution can help you to um, restrict accessing from specific tablet, iOS, or specific laptop? Out of these three, which one will be the best?
Conditional access IAM.
Conditional access, right? Yeah, so that is the right answer. And what should Tailwind traders do to ensure employees have the correct permission for their job role?
Are back.
Okay. Any other attempt here? How about access review?
An option also.
Yeah, true. So, see, in general, access review is the centralized console through which you can check whether the people has got the right level of permission, and then whether they are still using it effectively and so on. So the best option is access review, which is less manual work, and he doesn't have to, the administrator or the manager, he doesn't have to go and check each and every resources, because RBAC is a method. Definitely you can use it for this particular question, but the best option is access review. So you can definitely go and use RBAC permission. You can go and check each and every user and then see whether they have got the right level of access. The efficient way of doing it is requiring an access review, but conditional access is not a right option. Okay, so that is completely out of the equation. Out of these two options, RBAC is definitely an option to choose from, but then the best option is conducting an access review. So that way, the manager or the application owner can ensure that the people with the right job level are accessing the application. Okay, answer is require an access review. What should Tailwind traders do to give access to their partner developers? They are talking about the 5 developers who will access the applications and help them with the development work. Whether they will use the AD Connect. I mean, when I say AD Connect, they are talking about the Microsoft Entra Connect now. Okay, and then whether they will use
Developer as a guest user.
right, yeah. So invite the developers as a guest user is the best option in this scenario. Yeah. So third option is the right one. Yeah, because they also want to have the external software developer, and they're talking about only 5 developers. Yeah, you're right. So answer C is correct. What solution would be best for user sign-in attempt requirement? So this is the question, right? They want to do the auditing of the user signing in from different IP address, different location. And if someone is signing in from anonymous IP or anonymous location, they want to get notified. Which solution they have to create and enable?
Yeah, I think the risky sign-in policy, right?
Yeah, yeah, sign in risk policy. You're right. So that is the right option. So answer this for this one. This is the right answer. and require an access review, and then here conditional access. Yeah, these are the right answer. So now let's go into the case study. Okay, so it's pretty much similar. This I think yesterday also we talked about the tailwind traders, but for the governance requirement, and we came up with a kind of two different versions. And yeah, as you know, different architects have different way of thinking, and they might come up with different solution. See, at the end, it should justify what the business is requesting us to do. So here, the company is doing well, right? And they are expanding their workforce. They have successfully done an acquisition of an online retailer in the sports apparel space. So yesterday we were talking that there are two different business unit, right? One was named something, and the other one is this sports apparel. I think the other one was just apparel. I don't recall. Yeah, the company has also located a partner to outsource marketing literature. Tailwind Traders is using Microsoft Entra ID for user and group accounts. Here are the two specific initiatives the IT department would like you to help with. So I will try to capture some of the key points. So there is an acquisition on the sports apparel area. Okay, so there is an acquisition. The acquisition will add, okay, okay, this is the right point I should add. Okay, so there is an acquisition which is adding up at least 75 employees. Okay, and then all the new users will have on-premises account in the retailer's existing domain. So which means they might be using on-premises Windows Server Active Directory. So on-prem domain, and then they might use on-prem account. So maybe let's assume this is Windows Server AD and ADDS, Active Directory Domain Services. And okay, so the new marketing partner will initially have 15 employees. There is a new marketing partner also because they want to outsource some of the marketing literature. So for that, there is a new marketing partner. They will have 15 employees who will need corporate access. Okay, so the second company, the partner company, they will have 15 employees and they need corporate access. The employees already have Microsoft Entra IDs in the partner. Oh, okay, interesting. So they also have a separate Entra ID tenant, and they want to use that particular tenant for this particular requirement. The new employees are located at various geographic locations and will need account privileges for their new job roles. Some changes to the existing employee roles are expected. So they are clearly calling out there might be a need for you to think about conditional access and access reviews. That is what they are indirectly giving an indication as a architect. We need to think about conditional access. We need to think about access reviews. So that way, the privileged accesses are carefully handled. The IT department want to take this opportunity to include new identity security features. That is the clear indication that they want to enforce some of the identity protection features like conditional access, access reviews, and then maybe sign-in risks policies. These are the things that they want to ensure, and maybe like multi-factor authentication. It's a mandate these days, so that also has to be kept into consideration. New application access. So they've got some application. The business development team has an application running on Azure VM. Okay, that is interesting. It's a complete new thing. So they have a Azure VM, and then from that Azure VM, the application wants to access the data which is stored on Azure SQL database. Interesting. So they have a Azure VM that is having some application, business application, and that business application have to access the database which is hosted on which one? Okay, Azure SQL database. It's a PaaS offering. So they are having it as on the platform as a service. So there are a couple of things which you need to keep in mind. So you can use the managed identity because they are talking about only single VM and that can be system managed identity, system assigned managed identity. That is a kind of role, right? Service account. So we can use the service account to access the databases from the application. So database from the application, and maybe we can also configure the service endpoint. See, as a solution architect, we also have to think about some additional perspective also. Like there is a concept called endpoint, which can directly connect the VM in a private network to the database. If at all possible, we also have to think about the service endpoint and those things. They also need an on-premises server to be able to securely access the SQL database without storing credential in the application code. So again, they are talking about having some vaulting solution for their credential. So there is another on-premises system which is also having their application that also has to access the same database, but they also want to ensure that the application doesn't have any hard-coded credential. So we need to use the Azure Key Vault here. Okay, so these are the indications based on the question that we have discussed. So let's try to diagram them. Okay, so this is one. Maybe these are all couple of things. And these are the different products and services which we have to utilize in the design. Okay, so there is a B2B or B2C that could be used here. And here they already have a on-premises thing. They have acquisition. They have a Windows Server thing. So maybe MS Entra Connect Sync or MS Entra Connect should be also fine. Okay, so these are the different solutions that they have indicated, right? So let's go and capture them in a diagram. Before that, we will go and understand what they are asking us to do as a task. So as per the task, they are telling us diagram the process for bringing the acquired user account. Okay, so bringing the acquisition company's user account, diagram the process for adding the new partner account. Okay, fine. For the above requirement, be sure to include any tools that will be used. Okay, list at least three benefits of your suggested solution. Fine. Provide at least three recommendations for improving Tailwind Traders user identity solution. Rank the recommendation. Okay, fine. So let's try and diagram now. Let's go to draw.io and let's try to take the pointers and then get it into the diagram. Now, very first thing we need to configure. I mean, we already have a Entra ID tenant, right? This is Entra Connect. This is Entra Domain Services, Entra Managed Identity. This is the one. Okay, so we have something for Tailwind Traders. This is the Entra tenant ID. This is the tenant we already have, and this is the current company's tenant, right? And they have also indicated that there is an existing tenant for the new marketing partner. So, I mean, name is fine. So I can just say another partner tenant. Okay, there is one more Microsoft Entra ID that is there, and they've got around 15 employees. Mm, okay, so they've got 15 employees, and they are going to do the application development and some activities there. That's fine. So now, okay, so there is an on-premises account from the retailer existing domain. So they've done some acquisition. So that online retailer acquisition company has got Windows Server Active Directory. So let's say, let's go and check for domain controller. Okay, so they have some on-premises domain. Okay, all these are domain controller. Okay. So they have a on-premises Active Directory domain services. Let's see if there are any diagram. Okay, this is the Active Directory, right? So they have a on-premises AD environment, and this is for the retailer, which was online retailer company. Online retailer company that was acquisitioned. and they have got around 75 employees. Okay. Okay, now they are asking us, we have to first diagram how we can bring that acquisition user account to enter ID. So there are multiple options as I told you. So in some question, you might also see little more additional areas to cover, but for now I will just add the Entra sync and then explain that. Okay, this is Entra Connect sync, right? And there is another one called Entra Connect. We can use the Entra Connect because this is only one forest and one domain. So I can use the Entra Connect sync and then I can, okay, let me just use something else here. So it's going to be a single direction, right? It's like one-way sync. It's not bidirectional from on-premises. So I'm going to synchronize it to here through Entra sync, one-way sync using Entra Connect. Sorry. So draw.io is very interesting, right? It gives you whatever shape and changes that you want, you can do it. So now you are synchronizing from on-premises Active Directory environment to the Microsoft Entra tenant using the Entra Connect. So the 75 users will also be available on the cloud side. In some question, in some case study, they will also give some indication that whether the authentication should be handled by the cloud or the authentication should be handled by on-premises. So if that is the case, then you might also have to understand that there are many ways of connecting this. So there is a default option is password hash sync. So what will happen in this case, even though on-premises Active Directory environment is not available, the Entra tenant can still allow the authentication based on the hash value that is stored on the Entra tenant. For each and every users, for all the 75 users, their password equivalent hash value will be stored here on the cloud when you are configuring password hash sync. That is the default option. But some organization, when they do the when the acquisition happens, they will also say that all the password validation should also happen on their on-premises side. So you have to understand this thing. So password, no, it's not password, it's pass-through authentication. So whenever that one of the 75 employees tries to log in through this tenant and access some resources, they will be asked to validate their password against the on-premises domain controller. The on-premises domain controller will confirm back to the Entra ID that the password is valid, and that will happen through Kerberos handshake. Whereas on the Entra side, for the user to log in to the application and access the resource, it will be a OAuth 2 handshake token. Okay, so there will be two levels of token, one token between the Entra ID and the on-premises domain controller to validate the password is correct, and there will be another token which is the OAuth, the cloud native authorization token. OAuth token will be issued and it will be validated. So if you are using password hash, then even though even if the on-premises environment has network connectivity issues and so on, it will still work. But if you have configured for pass-through authentication, then the on-premises domain controller is still needed for all the login and for all the authentication attempts. So there is one more option called AD Federation Services. If someone wants to do the single sign-on and AD Federation, then you can also do it. You need to have one more server, or you can also have ADFS configured on your premises, and that will help you to do single sign-on with the same account that you have on the premises. So in some questions, in some use cases, case study, you might also be tested with these three options. If in case you are tested, you can just select the right option there. So now coming to the new marketing partner, so they also have some existing Entra tenant, and we will have some they want to have the 15 employees, and they also want to use the existing Microsoft Entra tenant. So in this case, I would go for B2B, okay, because of the reason that they want to use their existing Entra tenant. So I will just connect this and this one. So here it will be intra B2B configuration, or I would say collaboration option. So that way the employees here can be logged in. Okay, so now see this particular intra tenant is going to have a wide range of users, right? So it will have I'm not sure if there are some different colors that are possible, but yeah, let's do this. So it will have its own native user, local users in intra, and it will also have some synchronized users from on-prem, and it will also have some external identity from B2B collaboration. So guest or invited user. You can call them as invited users or guest users from partner directory or like partner tenant. Okay, so there are three different categories of user you will see in this Microsoft Entra ID organization. So there will be three different user grouping. So now coming to the next set of questions, you have got okay, so they are saying like people will have to be validated from their locations, and if there are some job role changes, we need to continuously keep track of those things. And they are talking about access reviews, conditional access, and so on. So let's see if there is some icon for that. I doubt, but let me. Okay, so access point indoor. Okay, verified access. Yeah, this should be fine. So we need to enable access reviews, and we also have to enable conditional access, and we can also have sign in risk policy configured. Yeah, fine. This is just for our understanding for now. Okay, and now let's have the another grouping, another set of question. So they are asking us that there is an Azure VM. Okay, so there is a Azure environment. You can just go and create a box for that. Possibly, let's say, okay, let's say Azure environment. Mm, 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 VNet. Okay. So there used to be another option, but anyways, for now, let's try to use this. So this is my Azure environment. See, Azure and Entra are two different things, okay? Don't combine them. Okay, Azure instance of VM. VM, I will create it separately. There used to be, okay, so they have given access control, okay, so that we can keep it here or back. This is Azure instance, or maybe instead of Azure instance, I will go for the Azure VM. Okay, and this will access SQL DB. Okay, so here for this particular connectivity, so we have to use managed identity. That is the important thing. In that question, we should not use your own created identity. Instead, intra managed identities has to be used. So we have to create the intra identity, and then you can use a arrow. Okay. Okay, in order to do this, we have to use the, sorry, we have to use MS Intra manage system managed identity. Okay, because user managed identity is needed when you have clustered servers or VMSs or Kubernetes clusters, you need to have that. But here it is managed identity is more than sufficient. So that will be created on your MS Intra. And you can also use VNet level endpoint and those things for your stuff. And they are also asking us to store some of the credentials. So you need to have Azure Key Vault in your Azure services. Okay, so any question so far on this use case? Hope it is clear what kind of services. So we are using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 solutions on this thing. So Entra Connect is used, number one, and then we have used B2B collaboration, and we have also used access review and conditional access, 3, 4, and then we have got managed identities, 5, and then we have got this role-based access control for permissions management for accessing the resources, and we have also used the key vault, and we have also used the sign-in risk policy. So these are the solution products and services which we need to use in this particular use case. Is it clear, or any questions on the use case on any of this topic? See, it is all in your Entra console. So maybe if you have the P2 or P1 license, you can get those access. See, for example, if I want to do access review, I have to go to the identity protection option here, somewhere identity governance, and then within that you'll see the access reviews and so on. So this is where you can go and check who are all having access, which applications are being accessed. So this is how you can do a quick role-based access control check. And if you go to entra Entra login, entra.microsoft.com, you will have a lot of extra options specifically to identity protection and identity governance and all those things. So if we are talking about all Microsoft Entra related configurations and thing, then you better come to this console. Even through portal.azure.com, you have option to go and access the Entra ID. But it is always better if you want to do some Entra ID specific activities, like if you want to allow certain devices, or what are the different devices that are being used, and if you want to lock some specific devices, or if you want to give access to some enterprise application through B2B collaboration, and if you want to protect some of the things, like if you want to allow some specific authentication method, and if you want to give access reviews and provide just-in-time access and just enough administration. So those are all things that you can control using privilege identity management. So this is where you go and configure all of these things under the Entra Admin Center. Okay, so for example, some organization in some case study, you might also be asked to do some activities like say like even though they have the privileged identity access, they should use it only during a particular duration. Maybe like for example, there is a weekend change activity and they have to come and do it only during that time. So what you can do is like you can allow them to go and use that privileged identity management, through which even though they have the access, they will be given what they have to do is when you go to, let me show you how it works. So for example, even though if they have access, what they have to do is for that particular application, they have to come here to the access control, and there will be two options here. If you look at the role assignment, not the role assignment. If you go to, so here is the eligible assignment. So it will be listed what kind of roles he can perform. So if you have the Entra ID governance license or the Entra ID P2 license, so here it will be listed like a owner, global administrator. So it will be listed here, and you have to select it. And when you select and use it for a particular duration, it will automatically get logged here. Okay, under the privileged identity management, this kind of configuration is called just-in-time access. Maybe in some case study, they will also ask you to do that. There are two configurations here. Just-in-time access. This will restrict you to use the privileged account, to use the privileged accounts. So when I say privileged accounts, like the owner, um, the contributor, maybe the help desk administrator, and then global admin. So these are all the privileged account, which has got a lot of privileges, a lot of permissions and stuff, right? So you will be allowed only for that change activity duration. Even though you are part of, you have been assigned that role, you will not be able to use that role at all the times. Only during the change activity, you have to come and inform, or you have to create access review in that particular privileged identity management saying that I have a change request, this is the change number, I need access for 4 hours or 8 hours. The manager will approve through that privileged identity management console. And once it is approved, you have to come to the specific resource or resource group, and you have to go and check what access you have, and then you can select that and then start using that permission or role. So that is just in time access, and there is one more called just enough administration or just enough access. Okay, so through which you will get only the set of privileges through custom role. You can just do only those activities, maybe small modification or small changes. Only you will be allowed to do that. So all these things will be controlled using privileged identity management. So I mean, if you are managing Microsoft 365 or Dynamics and other services, you might spend a lot of time here. But for Azure, yeah, it will be comparatively less time. Maybe you might spend some time on access reviews. You might some spend time on what kind of conditions you want to enforce. So those are the things which you might do. So if you come to the Microsoft multi-factor authentication, here you can go and control which users should be enforced. You can also enforce both the guest users as well as the local users and so on. Okay, with that, we might have to go and discuss what do you call the cloud adoption framework. We need continuous 1 hour for that. Maybe if you need to take a small 10 minutes or 15 minutes break, we can do that and then come and have a 1 hour session on cloud adoption framework. I'm here for any questions also for now. Maybe for the next 5 minutes, we can spend some time on the topic which we have discussed today. And maybe after the break, we will have the conditional access, sorry, cloud adoption framework discussed.